All right, so today we're diving into something pretty awesome.
Yeah.
The films of Steven Spielberg.
A legend.
You know, we asked and you delivered, giving us this list from the top10s.com of the top 10 best movies directed by Steven Spielberg. And
It is.
And the comments are a battleground, let me tell you.
Yeah. The comments section is always fun on these lists because everybody has such strong opinions and everybody's seen these films.
Right.
And it's interesting because it's not a static list.
Right.
Like, the users can vote and comment. So the rankings, they change all the time. And it's like a living, breathing organism based on, what people are thinking at the moment and how they're voting.
It's like a popularity contest.
Kind of.
For these films.
Yeah.
But before we get into like the nitty gritty of the top 10,
Right.
I think we need to just acknowledge Spielberg's success.
Oh, yeah.
Like he's not just a director who made a couple of good movies.
He shaped modern cinema. I mean, think about it. He's got multiple box office records.
Yeah.
7 Oscar nominations
Yeah.
for Best Director, 4 for Best Picture for films that he directed.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so the bar is high.
The bar is high.
Let's see if this list lives up to the hype.
Okay.
Number 1, Jurassic Park.
No.
Yeah.
No surprise there, right? I mean, the comments are just
Oh, yeah.
overwhelming with people, just glowing with nostalgia. I think it was a lot of people's first introduction to, like, the magic of cinema. And one user even called it, like, the father of all monster movies.
Right.
I mean, he really
Right.
didn't just make a film.
Right.
He created an experience.
He did, and he like revolutionized special effects.
Yeah,
Like
he did.
I remember being
At the time.
terrified and awestruck at the same time. Like watching that T-Rex on the big screen and like the way he used CGI and practical effects.
Yeah.
It set a new standard for blockbusters.
Absolutely.
And John Williams' score.
Oh, so good.
So iconic.
The minute you hear those horns, you're instantly transported back to Isla Nublar.
You're there.
Yeah.
Okay, so Jurassic Park.
Checks off all the boxes.
Pure movie magic, but at number 2,
Oh, yeah.
Schindler's List.
Quite a tonal shift.
Yeah.
But wow, what a film. And the comments really reflect that,
Yeah.
A lot of respect for how Spielberg handled this really sensitive material with respect and nuance.
Yeah.
And he didn't shy away from the brutality of the Holocaust, but he found moments of humanity amidst that darkness.
Yeah, some users, though, they were a little surprised to see it so high
Interesting.
on the list. And they were arguing that, some of his more purely entertaining films
Right.
deserve that number 2 spot.
And that's where it gets interesting, right?
It does.
Like, what makes a Spielberg film the best?
Yeah.
Is it the technical brilliance? Is it the emotional impact? Is it, how entertaining it is? I think that's what this list is all about, right?
Yeah.
Like showing all the different ways that Spielberg can,
Yeah.
be appreciated and loved.
Okay, so we've had dinosaurs and historical drama.
Yeah.
What's next? Well, at number 3,
Let's see.
another war epic,
Okay.
Saving Private Ryan.
Oh, yeah.
And this one
gets people fired up.
sparked a lot of discussion.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
A lot of users are calling that opening D-Day scene
Right.
one of the most realistic and harrowing depictions of war
Ever put on film.
ever put on film.
Right, yeah.
And he, Spielberg consulted with veterans to make sure it was accurate.
Right.
And it really does. That handheld camera work,
Uh-huh.
the desaturated colors,
Oh, yeah.
the sound design,
All of it.
all comes together to create
this immersive.
an unforgettable experience.
Yes.
But some users thought it was more about spectacle than substance.
Interesting.
And I thought that was an interesting point.
Yeah.
Because he is sometimes accused of being a sentimentalist.
Right. But
Yeah.
I would argue that even in his most action-packed films, there's a deeper emotional core. And this one's about sacrifice, duty,
Yeah.
and the psychological toll of war.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
heavy stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Time for a change of pace.
All right.
At number 4,
Okay.
Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Here we go.
And these comments are just pure joy.
It's just fun.
It is.
Like people raving about the action sequences, the music,
Oh, yeah.
the witty dialogue, and Harrison Ford is Indy.
Come on.
Come on. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
What's better than that? It's pure escapism.
It is.
Mhm.
But there's this one comment that mentions an underlying creepiness.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I thought that was an interesting take
Yeah.
on the film.
Okay.
And now that you mention it,
Yeah.
like the Ark of the Covenant melting faces.
Yeah.
Not something you want to see at a museum.
No,
Maybe.
not really.
But that's what's interesting about Spielberg, right? I think so, yeah. Like, he can layer a seemingly straightforward, action-adventure film with, something a little bit macabre.
Right.
And it gives it this unexpected depth.
Totally.
Yeah.
Okay, number 5.
Yeah.
The film that arguably made him a household name.
All right.
Jaws.
Jaws. Dun, 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 dun.
Right.
The king of the summer blockbuster.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people consider this to be his most effective film.
Yeah.
In terms of like just pure suspense and terror.
And it's amazing how he does it with so little screen time.
Oh, no.
Of the shark.
Right.
But, I read somewhere that the mechanical shark malfunctioned a lot.
Really?
While they were filming. And so he had to rely on suggestion.
Wow.
And atmosphere even more.
Interesting.
So in a way, those limitations made him more creative.
Right.
And made the film even scarier.
That makes a lot of sense.
Right.
That happens a lot.
Yeah.
Where these limitations actually breed innovation.
Yeah.
And create something even better.
You work with what you got.
Exactly.
And Jaws, man.
Oh, my gosh.
Cultural impact.
Huge.
Changed how we think about sharks.
Yeah.
About the ocean.
I know. And who hasn't hummed the John Williams theme?
You know it.
While swimming in the ocean, come on.
Oh, I have.
Right.
Okay, so from the depths of the ocean to the stars.
Right.
Number 6, E.T.
E.T.
The extraterrestrial.
The extraterrestrial.
Yeah.
And this one...
This one's got a special place in a lot of hearts.
Oh, it does?
Yeah, a lot of the users were, describing it as the ultimate feel-good movie.
Right.
One even called it a film about wonder magic, heart, emotion, and iconic imagery.
Yeah.
And that about sums it up.
What more do you need?
That's it.
But what's interesting is that it wasn't initially meant to be a kid's film.
Oh, wow.
Like, Spielberg went into it with this idea of it being, like, darker.
Really?
But as they were filming, he was like,
Yeah.
This needs to be more whimsical. It needs to be more innocent. That's so interesting.
And that's where his genius is, right?
Yeah.
He's not afraid to follow his instincts,
Uh-huh.
even if it deviates from the plan.
Yeah, he's a storyteller at heart.
Yeah.
And he knows what works, and he knows how to tap into those universal emotions that make us feel things.
Okay, number 7, Catch Me If You Can.
Oh, yeah.
Leonardo DiCaprio.
Love this one.
Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
That cat and mouse chase across the globe.
And I saw a couple of users saying, like, this is criminally underrated.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's so stylish and witty and, like, surprisingly heartwarming.
Yeah.
And it really showcases Spielberg's ability to just, like, blend genres effortlessly.
And it didn't receive as much acclaim as some of his other films.
Is that right?
When it came out.
Huh?
But its popularity has grown over the years.
I love to hear that.
I think it might be.
Yeah.
The performances are so charming.
Yeah.
And it's based on a true story.
That always adds a little intrigue.
It does.
Yeah.
And it speaks to Spielberg's range. Like,
He can do it all.
he can do the lighthearted caper
Uh-huh.
and the heavy historical drama.
Yep.
Catch Me If You Can is proof that he doesn't have to rely on spectacle
Exactly.
or special effects to tell a compelling story.
Sometimes all you need is a great script
Right.
and some charismatic actors.
Yeah.
And a director who knows how to let the story breathe.
Okay, back to adventure.
All right.
Number 8, we're rejoining Indiana Jones
Okay.
for The Last Crusade.
Yes.
And this one is a fan favorite.
It's so good.
A lot of people think it's the best
I can see that.
of the Indiana Jones trilogy,
Uh-huh.
praising the perfect blend of humor, action, and heart. The addition of Sean Connery as Indy's dad.
Oh, come on.
Genius.
So good.
Their chemistry.
It's pure gold.
It's just a feel-good movie.
And sometimes that's all you need.
I know.
A film that just makes you feel good.
Exactly.
Number 9, back to sci-fi.
Okay.
Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
And one user described the aliens as extraterrestrial ghosts.
I love that.
I thought that was such an evocative description.
Yeah, it really captures that sense of mystery and awe
Right.
that he creates in the film. And he doesn't give us easy answers about who they are or what they want. He just leaves it up to us to interpret.
And it's a film that's...
And it's a film that sticks with you.
It sticks with you.
Yeah.
And did you know that Jerry Garcia from the Grateful Dead
What
makes a cameo
No way.
in the chanting crowd scene?
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's those little details that make it so fun to rewatch
I know.
and dissect.
Uh-huh.
And rounding out the top 10
Okay.
We have a newcomer
A newcomer.
with a question mark Minority Report.
Oh, this is a good one.
Yeah, and it seems like this one's generating a lot of buzz.
Yeah.
And is quickly climbing the ranks. And it's
Mhm.
interesting to see how newer films
Right.
enter the conversation
Totally.
and how their ranking evolves over time.
Especially with the way that this list is so fluid.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
You never know.
And it shows that, Spielberg's work
Yeah.
continues to resonate even decades into his career.
Yeah. And that is something to be admired.
It is.
For sure.
But we're just getting started.
I know.
There are so many more Spielberg films to discuss, and the comments are full of passionate opinions.
Let's do it.
So let's take a look, shall we?
I'm ready.
So many Spielberg films to discuss. Like, this list is just the tip of the iceberg.
It really is. And so much passion for the films that, didn't crack the top 10.
Uh-huh.
Like, there are so many hidden gems and cult favorites in Spielberg's filmography that deserve a closer look.
Absolutely. Like, every film has its own dedicated fan base,
Beautiful.
ready to defend its place in the Spielberg canon.
Right.
And that actually brings me to something I've been thinking about.
Yeah.
What is it about Spielberg's films that makes them so enduring and relatable?
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head when you said, it's these dedicated fan bases. Like, people connect to his films on such a personal level. And I think a lot of that has to do with his ability to just tap into those universal emotions,
Yeah.
like whether it's the awe and wonder of childhood in E.T. or the fear of the unknown in Jaws.
Right.
He just knows how to make audiences feel things deeply.
Yeah, and he does it through visual storytelling.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
He's such a master of using the camera
Right.
to create these iconic images and unforgettable moments.
Like, think about that low-angle shot of Roy Scheider loading his gun in Jaws.
Yes.
Or the silhouette of Elliot and E.T. flying across the moon.
Come on, chills.
I know.
Like, these are images that are just burned into our brains.
They are.
They're part of our cultural memory.
And it's not just the visuals, it's the characters, too.
Yes, exactly. He creates characters that we connect with, on a deeply personal level.
Like, they're often flawed and vulnerable, but they also possess this unwavering optimism and resilience that we can all relate to.
Yeah, like Indiana Jones.
Indiana Jones.
He's brave and resourceful, but also kind of clumsy,
Yeah.
He's like the perfect blend of heroic and human.
Don't forget the music.
Oh my gosh, the music.
John Williams.
I mean,
Hynek.
those scores are so iconic that they've become inseparable
Right.
from the films themselves.
You can't hear the Jaws theme without picturing that fin coming out of the water.
Right.
You
can't hear the E.T. theme without picturing
like flying.
them flying across the moon.
Yeah.
It's like he's created this sonic shorthand
Uh-huh.
for Spielberg's cinematic world.
Yes, he has.
Okay, I want to dive into some of the other films
Okay.
on this list that are sparking debate
Yeah,
in the comments.
let's do it.
First up, AI, artificial intelligence.
Ooh, interesting one.
This seems to be like a real love it or hate it film.
Yeah, I heard that.
Some users are calling it their absolute favorite.
Okay.
Others are like,
Too sentimental. A little too sentimental.
uh-huh.
But it's interesting how it explores, those themes of humanity and artificial intelligence in a way that feels both futuristic
Totally.
and timeless.
Yeah, and I think that reflects Spielberg's fascination with technology and its impact on our lives.
Right.
Which is a theme that he's revisited in several of his films.
Speaking of technology, we also have Minority Report on this list.
Ooh, yes.
Exploring a world where crime can be predicted before it even happens.
And it raises all sorts of ethical questions, right?
It does.
Like free will versus determinism.
Yeah.
What would you do?
I don't know.
Yeah, it's a tough one. But that's what's so great about Spielberg. He can entertain us with these high-concept sci-fi thrillers, but also make us think critically.
About the world around us.
Exactly.
Okay, and then there's the historical dramas.
Oh, yeah.
Which are also well represented on this list.
Uh-huh.
I mean, Schindler's List obviously takes the top spot.
Of course.
But we also have Saving Private Ryan, Lincoln Amistad, further down.
So many good ones.
It's clear that he's drawn to stories that explore
Yeah.
the complexities of history
Uh-huh.
and the human condition.
And he doesn't shy away from the tough stuff either.
He doesn't.
He's not afraid to tackle these controversial subjects like the assassination of Lincoln in Lincoln or the moral dilemmas of the Holocaust in Schindler's List.
Right.
Like, he really wants to challenge his audience and make them think about the past in new ways.
And the scale of these historical epics.
Oh, my God.
He's a master at creating these immersive worlds.
Uh-huh.
that transport us to different times and places.
And he's so meticulous with the details.
Yeah.
You know, the research, the attention to detail, it really gives those films a sense of authenticity.
Oh, yeah. And I'm really intrigued by the comments about Empire of the Sun.
Oh, yeah. What about it?
One user gives this really beautiful analysis of the film's themes of growth, selflessness, and loss. And they highlight this one scene where the young protagonist sees a vision of his old self while performing CPR on a fellow prisoner.
Wow, that's powerful.
It is.
Yeah, it speaks to that profound transformation that the character goes through.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a coming-of-age story set against this backdrop of war.
Right.
And it really showcases Spielberg's ability to create both epic spectacle and these really intimate human moments.
Yeah, and I know we can't go through every single film on this list.
I know, right?
But I do want to touch on a few more that have sparked these interesting discussions.
Yeah.
Like Catch Me If You Can seems to be kind of a sleeper hit.
It kind of is, right?
Yeah.
Like, it didn't get as much attention when it came out, but it's developed such a loyal following.
Right, and I think it's just a real crowd pleaser.
Totally.
And it highlights his versatility.
Oh, yeah.
As a director.
He can jump between genres.
Yeah.
So seamlessly.
He can.
You know, from historical epics to sci-fi thrillers to lighthearted capers.
Yeah.
And he always brings this sense of craftsmanship and detail that elevates his films.
Absolutely. Another film that sparked some debate, The Lost World, Jurassic Park,
Okay.
the sequel to the original blockbuster.
Oh, yeah.
And some users love it.
Yeah.
They're praising the action sequences and the special effects.
Huh.
Others found it a bit of a letdown compared to the original.
I mean, sequels always have an uphill battle, right?
They do.
It's so hard to recapture that magic of the original.
Right.
Especially when expectations are so high.
Yeah.
But The Lost World still has its merits, for sure.
Right.
It expands on the world that Spielberg created.
Yeah,
And it explores some interesting themes about genetic engineering.
And it still has that classic Spielberg sense of adventure.
It does.
And wonder.
Yeah.
Now, there are a few films on this list that haven't generated as much discussion.
Oh, really?
Like Bridge of Spies, The Terminal, and The Post.
Okay.
I'm curious, what do you think they add to Spielberg's overall filmography?
Well, I think Bridge of Spies is like a really understated gem.
Yeah.
It's a Cold War thriller with a lot of heart. And Tom Hanks is fantastic in it.
As always.
As always.
Yeah.
He plays James Donovan, the American lawyer
Yeah.
who negotiates the release of a captured Soviet pilot.
Yeah, it's a film about diplomacy and compassion
Uh-huh.
and the importance of finding common ground, even in the midst of conflict.
And it's not flashy, but it's powerful.
It is. And then The Terminal, I think that's a bit of a departure for Spielberg.
Yeah, it's a whimsical story
It is.
about this guy who gets stranded in JFK Airport.
Right when his country collapses.
Yeah.
While he's in transit.
I mean, talk about bad timing.
No, right?
But it's a film about hope and resilience
Yeah.
and the kindness of strangers.
And then there's The Post.
Oh, yeah.
The true story of the Washington Post's decision to publish the Pentagon Papers.
Right.
Exposing government secrets about the Vietnam War.
Such a timely film.
It is.
You know, and it really speaks to the importance of a free press and the power of truth.
So as we, delve deeper into this list,
Yeah.
it's clear that his filmography is so diverse.
And he's tackled so many genres,
Yeah, he really has.
explored so many themes.
And he's always pushing himself to try new things.
Yeah.
And even after decades in the industry, he's still finding ways to surprise us.
Right.
And I think that's what makes him so fascinating.
It does.
He's not afraid to take risks, and he's constantly evolving.
And there's a certain magic to his films, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely.
That sense of wonder and possibility.
Yeah, like he's tapping into something primal,
Right.
a shared yearning for adventure and connection.
And meaning.
And meaning.
Now, I don't want to get too philosophical here,
Okay.
but I do think there's something to be said about the power of film
Oh, for sure.
to transport us,
Uh-huh.
to make us feel things deeply,
Yeah,
and to connect us to something larger than ourselves.
I agree. And Spielberg is a master of that.
So as we continue our deep dive, let's keep that in mind.
Okay.
We're not just talking about a list of movies.
Right.
We're talking about a body of work.
That has shaped our culture
Uh-huh.
and touched countless lives.
And I think it's important to remember that each film on this list
Yeah.
is a reflection of his unique vision
Right.
and his desire to connect with his audience on a personal level.
I'm curious, what do you think makes a Spielberg film a Spielberg film?
Ooh, that's a great question.
Is there a common thread that runs through all of his work,
Yeah.
regardless of genre or theme?
That's a question that we'll keep exploring as we delve deeper into this list and uncover the hidden gems that await us.
Okay. I'm ready for more. What else we got? It's crazy how much Spielberg's films have just like become part of our everyday language.
I know it's true.
You know, like we quote lines,
Uh-huh.
we imitate iconic scenes,
All the time.
and we even use his film titles as shorthand,
Right.
you know, for certain emotions or experiences.
Yeah.
It's like saying something is straight out of Jaws,
Right.
or that someone pulled an E.T.
Exactly.
And I think that speaks to the power of his storytelling.
It really does.
Like, these films aren't just entertainment.
Yeah.
They're touchstones, you know, that we return to again and again.
And they kind of evolve with us, don't they?
They do.
You know, a film like E.T. hits differently when you watch it as an adult
Oh, yeah.
than it did when you were a kid.
Right.
The themes of loss and longing and, you know, the search for connection
Yeah.
take on new meaning as we experience more of life.
I think that's why Spielberg's films have that staying power.
Me too.
They speak to something universal in all of us. And it's not just about the stories themselves.
Right.
It's about how he tells them.
Yeah.
That visual style,
Mm-hmm.
the use of music,
Of course.
the characters that he creates.
They're so memorable.
It all comes together to create this immersive experience.
Yeah. There's a magic to his films, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely.
This sense of wonder and possibility.
That you don't often find in other filmmakers.
Right.
Okay, so we've talked about Spielberg's legacy, his impact, the enduring appeal of his films, but I want to end on a more personal note.
Okay.
Out of all the films we've discussed, which one resonates most with you?
Ooh, that is tough.
And why?
You know, it's like choosing the favorite child.
It is.
But I think if I had to pick, I'd go with Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Really?
Yeah, there's just something about that film's sense of mystery and wonder that has always captivated me.
I can see that, you know, it's a film that asks those big questions.
Right.
About our place in the universe,
Uh-huh.
the possibility of life beyond Earth.
Yeah, and it does it with this sense of awe and reverence,
Right.
that it's hard not to be moved by it.
So Close Encounters is your pick.
It is.
What about you?
I think I'm going to have to go with Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Okay.
For me, it's just pure adventure,
It is.
escapism,
Yeah.
fun, you know?
Sure fun.
It's the kind of film that I can watch over and over again
Yeah.
and never get tired of it.
Yeah. It's a classic for a reason.
Is
And it showcases Spielberg's ability to create a world
Oh, yeah.
that you just want to get lost in.
And plus, who doesn't love a good whip crack? Come on.
Not right?
So there you have it, folks. Our deep dive into the filmography of Steven Spielberg.
It's been quite a journey.
It has been a journey through adventure, laughter, tears.
And some epic dinosaur encounters.
But most importantly, it's been a celebration of the power of storytelling and the impact that one director can have on our lives.
We hope you've enjoyed exploring the world of Spielberg with us.
Yeah?
And we encourage you to continue the conversation, revisit your favorite films, discover new ones, and share your thoughts with the world.
Because the beauty of Spielberg's work is that there's always something new to discover.
Yeah.
Something to learn and something to be inspired by.
Absolutely.
So until next time, keep watching, keep thinking.
This magic of cinema alive.
And keep the conversation going.